being in this league. Just so many lessons.
You guys are hot. About 10 seconds left.
I've learned from so many great players I've worked with. I think all of those things can be channeled into our efforts with this year's team to hopefully do something great.
That, of course, is the new Suns coach, Frank Vogel. He held his news conference today, and with that, we say good afternoon to three-time NBA champion. He is also the GCU TV color analyst for their games as well, and he's got a book out. It's called Through the Fire, a memoir of trauma and loss, basketball, and triumph. It is indeed Scott Williams. Scott, Jimmy B, and Manooch, how are you today, pal? And are you excited that Frank Vogel is finally been named officially as the Suns coach?
It's official now, Scotty. Forever and a day already. Let's go.
Yes, gentlemen, I'm doing good. I was at a golf course all day yesterday, so I didn't make it down to the press conference. That heat wore me out down there. I was with all those guys doing the restaurants, the Superbook, and eating too much food. But I'm happy that we have Frank Vogel as our new leader of this basketball team. I think he's going to bring an exciting style of basketball that's going to be defensive-minded here to the Valley of the Sun.
All right, let me go with this question for you then. As a veteran player, which now Devin Booker is, along with Kevin Durant, what is it like when there is a coaching change from a player's perspective?
The players get it. They understand that that's the nature of the beast. Much like they get traded, coaches are hired to be fired. After a while, and I'm not saying Monty Williams did a bad job. I don't want anybody to ever think that, because he did an outstanding job establishing a new culture after some of the ragamuffin coaches that we had kind of come through here during the Sarver era. But this is going to be a coach that understands how to win a championship. He understands how to deal with veterans like Booker and Durant, because he did that with LeBron James and Anthony Davis and the Lakers.
And interesting when you hear that soundbite, and we all they say the right things, but the one thing about Frank Vogel, and me being a 55-year Suns fan, just to tell you the truth, sometimes I'm a homer. I'll admit it, Scotty. I'm a homer. I grew up a Suns fan. I'm waiting for that first championship. He's saying all the right things, okay? But can he back it up if you don't have all the pieces with this Suns team? And is that onus on James Jones now to go get those pieces to allow him to go do his job and take him to an NBA title?
Oh, 100%. I mean, he's got two really good pieces to start with. I think most coaches in the league would be happy to have two players like Booker and Durant. And that's a great place to start from. Yes, but now, okay, the brain trust. Go get him some additional pieces to surround those players with. Make a decision on Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, and try to get this roster tightened up as quick as possible. They can't come out of the block slow and start next year. It's got to be, I don't want to say seamless transition, but it's got to be a smooth transition for sure.
And on top of that, if the words committed to championship players, so they commit to championships. When will you know that those words speak louder than actions? What kind of players do you need to see on this team when they're committed? That's coming from them, committed to getting championship players here in the Valley of the Sun.
Well, it's energy. It's hustle. It's effort on a nightly basis. It's moving the basketball, number of assists, getting on the glass, rebounds, both on the offensive and defensive board, winning the 50-50 battle. All those little hustle stats that you see that go into a game. I'm not going to be so much worried about the first 15 or 20 games with the one-loss record, but the style of play will be important to let you know the guys are buying it.
All right. Manooch has this fascination with DeAndre Ayton. And
time out. I'm not fascinated with him.
You are.
I'm extremely discouraged and disappointed.
That's a fascination. So I wanted to ask this, because you played a big man's position. Frank Vogel is on the record saying that he believes that he can turn DeAndre Ayton into a rim protector. He said it today during the news conference. Scott, we've had you on this show. You've been positive. You've been negative on the big fella's play. Can that be realistic in the way that Frank Vogel addressed it today?
I didn't hear the comments today. I'm happy to know that he feels as though he can turn him into a defensive stopper and a rim protector, a natural roadblock underneath there. I've been one of the guys that have been very slow to get off of DeAndre Ayton.
Mm-hmm.
So if Frank Vogel, who's a hell of a lot better coach than I ever would have been in the NBA, thinks he can do it, I'm going to have belief in him. And
it's interesting you bring that up, Scott. I hear a lot of former players, even former centers, even some of the Suns folks that do some of the broadcasts said, look, I mean, DA is who he is. That's who he is. If he can get more out of him, if they keep him, then so be it. And I think the frustration is if he can't get it done, and as you said, the first 20, 25 games, you wonder how much patience they will have with DA if he doesn't get it and do what they're supposed to do with this new regime.
That's a great question. I don't have a great answer for you other than the fact that we shall see. 25 games is a large enough sample size to see if DA has bought into what the coaching staff is asking him to do. I know Chris Paul has talked to him about it. Devin Booker's talked about the need to have them done. Those are guys with a lot of influence in this league, a lot of status, street cred, so to speak, in that NBA locker room, and they've been able yet to push the right button. So if Frank Vogel, who is a defensive mastermind, knows how to some of the less than stellar performances while motivating him to get a majority of what he wants, I think that's a great thing.
Scott Williams is our guest. We're continuing our NBA conversation with him right now, and we're going to switch to the game that'll be played tomorrow night. It is Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Finals are tied 1-1. Miami getting that upset victory in Denver the other night, a 3-point win. I'm just real curious, when you watched that game, did Denver's defense just sort of go away in the second half, and that's why Miami was able to climb back in and then take the lead and maintain the lead? Or was it a case where the Heat got on an offensive roll and that carried them to the victory?
Well, you mentioned it, 60-point second half. That was tremendous. They scored 36 in the fourth quarter to win by 3. Now, we've been seeing this, if you've been paying attention to the Eastern Conference playoffs, the Heat have ability to play better in the second half than they do in the first. Is that energy and effort? Is that coaching adjustments at halftime? Combination of all, probably. But one thing, if you're Denver, you may have a little bit of a concern, or you may say it's an abnormal situation. They outshot them from the field 52-49. They out-rebounded them by a plus 11, but it's the threes, right? So Denver knocks down 17 3-point shots. They're a plus 6 from behind the arc, and I think there lies the difference with the game. So can they get out on those shooters like Struz, like Duncan Robinson, who knocked down 6 3-point shots between the two of them, and close out on those shooters and make somebody like a Butler or Bam Adebayo take a couple more shots to try to have to beat them? Because Denver's going to score in that 108 to 112 range every night. Can the Heat score in that type of number? I'm not 100% sure. I think Denver bounces back in Game 3.
You know, Scotty, it's interesting just to watch the point center in the Joker bring the ball up time and time again. What is the philosophy for us, novice basketball players? Jimmy would probably know more than I would. But when he brings it up like that, what's the motion? What's the gist or the schematic for that offense?
It's really amazing to watch. Not only does it bring it up in kind of a static situation,
yes,
he rebounds it and brings it up in traffic with guys trying to hack at his arms and get up underneath his waistband and strip that thing away, and he's just crafty enough with it to take it coast to coast. 41 points. That was tremendous. He had the 11 boards. What he didn't do a lot of, and I think what might have been the Heat's focal point, was to try to make somebody else on that ball club beat him. He only had the 4 assists, as good as he was at handling that ball in the open floor. They stayed home with those shooters, not letting them get those 3-point shots. You get a plus 6 behind the arc as a result. Denver's got to shoot a tremendous percentage from inside the arc, which they did. They shot 52% for the game, and they still win the basketball game.
3 minutes.
So is onto something that says, let the big fella get his 40 to 45 points and we'll stay home with the shooters.
All right. I thought it was a excellent move by Spoelstra, the head coach of Miami, to put Kevin Love back into the starting lineup. He hit a couple of big threes, but he had 10 rebounds and his outlet passes. It's my contention that he probably is the best outlet passer since Wes Unseld for the old Washington Bullets. That's how effective he is with that. How did that change the game then for Miami, and how will Denver have to react to that again?
He went back in the Wayback Machine there, Scotty, with Wes Unseld.
I did.
Yeah, it's Wes Unseld. You think Wes out there with a huge afro right now in my mind. That's tremendous. In fact, I think Love's dad had some connection to Wes Unseld. I think one of the reporters on one of these shows might have said his middle name might be named after Unseld. So something to check into.
2 minutes.
The hoops heads out there, but Kevin Love does a fantastic job. I have a man crush on Kevin Love when he first came into the basketball league. All the things he did. He's a UCLA guy. I'm a Southern California guy. That was my dream school when I was in junior high and elementary school. So I follow the Bruins extensively, and I've really watched the way he's changed his game from when he first came in the league, the ability to go step out behind the arc. He's always been good on the glass. You mentioned the 10 rebounds, but those, court vision, making timely passes, long, 30 to 40-foot outlet passes. The guys running the floor. I think he's tremendous at doing that. That addition of putting him back to the starting lineup gave him a little bit bigger body on Aaron Gordon. Got to compete with on the rebound. So not that Denver's a big offensive rebounding team, but it's nice to have a big
1 minute. 1 minute.
Guys that like to come flying in like Porter and Gordon, keep them off that offensive glass.
Always good, pal, when you take time for us on the show. Can't wait to have you on again as we talk NBA Finals. Thank you. You got a pick in tomorrow night's game?
I'm picking Denver. I know your guy Jim Bob was on right before me, and he took the heat.
He did.
And, they're tough at home, but I think Denver too big, too strong. They pull this one out.
All right, pal. Thank you. Have a great day, Scott.
You too, guys.
There you go. Scott Williams, always great when he comes on the show. His insight is just spectacular. It's always fun when we have him here. All right, coming up next, it's our random fact of the day. It's presented by your Valley Chevrolet.